Hello all, welcome to Paritranaya. Today we shall resume with the discussion of Parliament. So in the previous class we discussed about the topics like within Parliament, like what is Parliament and what is the composition of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, what are the qualifications required. So all these things we discussed in the previous class. So today we shall begin with the next part. So next is vacating of seats. So we know that members of Lok Sabha, they may be either elected or they may be nominated as well. But now the nomination has been removed. In case of Rajya Sabha, we have both elected members as well as nominated members. In case of Lok Sabha, the members are directly elected. In case of Rajya Sabha, they are indirectly elected. So next we need to understand when will those seats become vacant. Already we have seen that after 5 years, in case of Lok Sabha, all the seats will become vacant, and that we call it as dissolution of Lok Sabha. Whereas in case of Rajya Sabha, it's a permanent house. All the seats will not become vacant at the same time. So, almost 1/3 seats, close to 1/3 seats, will become vacant in every 2 years. Every 2 years in case of Rajya Sabha. But apart from this, when will a situation arise wherein the seats will become vacant? So today we shall look into it. Vacating of seats. The first one is double membership. So both houses elected, so 10 days choice window, Rajya Sabha, automatically it gets cancelled. So what does it mean? Now if a person, let us assume here we have Lok Sabha, here we have Rajya Sabha, a person A, so practically such a scenario will rarely arrive, but let us assume theoretically a person A, he gets elected to both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha simultaneously. If that is the case, then he will be having a choice of either to opt for Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha within 10 days. So in 10 days, he can either opt for Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. If he does not opt for any one of them, automatically Rajya Sabha seat will get cancelled and he will get Lok Sabha seat. So this is the case when he gets elected to both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha at the same time. Next, what is the other case? One sitting member is elected to other house. So what does it mean? So one sitting member, so let us assume it is Lok Sabha, it is Rajya Sabha. So person, let us consider person 1. So he is already a member of Lok Sabha. He is already a member of Lok Sabha, but he will contest in Rajya Sabha election and win here as well. Already a member of Lok Sabha, he will contest election for Rajya Sabha seat and he will gain victory here. So what happens automatically? Automatically his membership of Lok Sabha will get cancelled. Vice versa. Let us assume person P2, already he is a member of Rajya Sabha, but he also contests election of Lok Sabha and he will win. At this moment what happens? Automatically his Rajya Sabha membership will get cancelled. Suppose person 1 who is a Lok Sabha member and he contests for Rajya Sabha seat, if he does not win, then what happens? He will be retaining the Lok Sabha seat. Next, 2 seats, one option, both cancel. So what does it mean? Now, a person can contest from maximum 2 constituencies. Let us assume person 1. So he has contested in election, let us assume from Bagalkot, and also he has contested from another constituency. Let us assume it is Belgaum. Okay. So I have taken Karnataka as an example. So I have taken 2 constituencies. So if the same person 1, he will contest from both Bagalkot as well as Belgaum, and if he wins in both the places, then what happens? He has to opt for either the Bagalkot constituency or Belgaum constituency. He cannot retain both of them. If he fails to retain any one of them, then he may lose a seat from both Bagalkot as well as Belgaum. And here they are not specified about the time period within how many days he has to mention. So he need not worry. UPSC will not focus on such kind of questions. Okay. So here what we need to understand. So he can contest in more than one constituency. If he gets selected only in one constituency, no problem. But the same person, if he gets selected to more than one constituency, that is 2 constituencies, then he has to opt for any one of them. He cannot retain both of them. So in these cases that we discussed, so one seat will become vacant. In all 3 cases, seats will become vacant. This is one type of vacating of seats. Another one is disqualification. In the previous class, we discussed about the different grounds of disqualification. So the disqualification may be based on constitutional grounds or Representation of People Act, or it may be based on defection. So in any of these cases, when a person is disqualified, then automatically that seat becomes vacant. That seat becomes vacant. Next, resignation. So members of Lok Sabha and members of Rajya Sabha, they can resign, but while resigning, to whom they will submit the resignation letter, that is very important. In case of Lok Sabha, Lok Sabha members will submit resignation to Speaker. Rajya Sabha members will submit resignation to Chairman of Rajya Sabha. Okay, very important. So resignation letter will be given to either Chairman or Speaker. So whether Chairman or Speaker, whether it is compulsion on their part to accept the resignation, they may either accept it or they may not accept. So they may not accept. When they may not accept, if Chairman or Speaker, they understand that the resignation is not voluntary and it is not genuine, somebody is forcing them, or because of some unwanted reasons they are resigning, at that time they may not accept the resignation as well. Suppose if at all Chairman or Speaker, they accept the resignation, then that seat will become vacant. Okay, so we have seen different cases. So double membership, disqualification. Similarly, resignation will be a ground, will also be a reason for the seat becoming vacant. Next, absence, very important. So if a person remains absent for how many days? For 60 days or more without permission. It means with permission he can remain absent for 60 days or more, but without permission, if he remains absent for 60 days or more, then who can then we can declare that a seat is vacant. But who has this power to declare? House declares. Okay, House declares. What does it indicate? If a Lok Sabha member is absent for more than 60 days without permission, then Lok Sabha will declare that seat to be vacant. That seat is vacant. Similarly, for Rajya Sabha member, if he remains absent for more than 60 days, then Rajya Sabha can declare that the seat is vacant. It is not compulsion. They may or they may not. But who has the power? These houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, has that power. Okay, has that power. Next, prorogue or adjourn. So whenever the house is prorogued or whenever the house is adjourned, that period will not be counted. So what is prorogue and adjourn? We'll be discussing about this later on. For time being, we shall just ignore it. Okay. So when the house is adjourned or when the house is prorogued, such a period will not be taken into account in order to calculate these 60 days. Okay. Very important. Next, what are the other cases where when the seat can be considered as vacant? When the election has been declared as void. Okay. So suppose High Court comes to a conclusion that the election have not been taken place properly, then if it declares the election as void, then a person who has been elected, so his seat will become vacant, expelled. Okay, if he has been removed from Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. If a person becomes president, so there is no restriction. A person who is an MP, either a Lok Sabha member or Rajya Sabha member, he is eligible to contest for presidential election. Suppose if he becomes president, then automatically he loses the membership of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha of which he is a member. Okay, president or vice president. Similarly, when a person becomes governor of a state, if he is a Lok Sabha member or Rajya Sabha member, and if he is appointed as a governor of any particular state, then also he will lose the membership of the house to which he belongs to. It may be either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Next, if disqualified is elected, then High Court declares the election void. Who has the power? High Court has the power to declare that election is void. So disqualification may be anything. For example, a person might have submitted a document saying that I am a citizen of India. But later on, after investigation, High Court comes to a conclusion that the person who has contested in an election is not a citizen of India. So at that time, High Court will declare his election as void. Okay, void. In all these cases, the seat will become vacant. Seat will become vacant. So very important from exam point of view. They may pose a question like, what are the various ways in which a seat of a Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha can become vacant? So all these things that we discussed are very important, and we need to know about them. Oath or affirmation. So very important. Before participating in any kind of discussions and all, MPs, Lok Sabha members or Rajya Sabha members, they have to take oath. Okay. So who will administer the oath? This is very important. President will administer the oath. President will administer the oath. Oath or affirmation. So without oath, they cannot participate in any kind of discussions in the house. So they cannot vote, they cannot participate. So later on we will be discussing that Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha members, they will be enjoying certain privileges. So they will be deprived of these privileges until and unless they take oath. So oath is very important. They have to take the oath. Next, no immunities. So until and unless they do not take oath, so they will not be enjoying the immunities. There are certain immunities which are enjoyed by members of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So they no longer enjoy these immunities. So if a person participates without taking oath, then there will be a penalty for him. Similarly, if a person who is disqualified, if he participates in the discussions of the house, again he'll have to pay the penalty. Okay. Again, if a person is prohibited by any law to participate in the discussion of the house, and on top of that, again if he participates, then again there will be some penalty which will be imposed on him. Okay. Next, salaries and allowances. So salaries and allowances, salaries of MPs are decided by what? Parliament. So this is not an important topic. It can be ignored. Okay, it can be ignored. What exactly is the salary of Lok Sabha member and Rajya Sabha member? Not important from examination point of view. From exam point of view, what we need to understand is salaries of Lok Sabha members and Rajya Sabha members are fixed by Parliament. Are fixed by Parliament. Next, very important, presiding officers of Parliament. So when we say presiding officers of Parliament, so one we have Lok Sabha, other we have Rajya Sabha. In case of Lok Sabha, the presiding officer is Speaker. In case of Rajya Sabha, the presiding officer is Chairman. Okay. So first we shall start with the presiding officer of Lok Sabha, that is Speaker. Okay. Speaker of Lok Sabha. So first we need to understand whether Speaker is nominated or elected. So Speaker is an elected position. Okay. So we shall look into it. So election and tenure. So Speaker is elected. So who will fix the date of election? Very important. President will fix the date of election for Speaker. Next, what will be the tenure? For how many years can Speaker continue as a Speaker? So usually life of Lok Sabha. Okay. As long as Lok Sabha exists for 5 years, so for those many days he can remain as a Speaker. Usually it is not mandatory. Okay. In between also a Speaker can be removed, and what are the procedures involved in removing Speaker, we shall see later on. Okay. Next, when can a person vacate the office of Speaker? Ceases to be a member of Lok Sabha. So it is necessary that a person who is elected as a Speaker, he should be a member of Lok Sabha. So when he ceases to be a member of Lok Sabha, means if he is no longer a member of Lok Sabha, then automatically he will he will lose the position of Speaker as well. Next, when he resigns to Deputy Speaker. So next we will be discussing about another entity, one more important entity, Deputy Speaker. So Speaker, whenever he is resigning, he has to submit his resignation letter to Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker. Very important. Next, now Speaker can also be removed. Okay, by removal resolution. So 50%. So what does it mean? So members of Lok Sabha, they will vote. They will pass a resolution. For example, let us assume in the Lok Sabha we have 543 members. So on a particular day, let us assume 543 members are absent and only 500 members are present. So a resolution will be moved to remove Speaker, that we want to remove Speaker. So what is resolution? We will be discussing later on. But if a resolution is moved to remove Speaker, remove Speaker resolution, and if this resolution is supported by 50%, means 250 plus 1, that is 251 members, then Speaker stands removed. Speaker can be removed. But before removing, Speaker has to be given a notice of 14 days. And when the Speaker's removal resolution is under consideration, it means whenever we want to remove Speaker, directly we cannot remove him. We have to have a discussion on that. So why we are removing and all those things. So when such kind of discussions are taking place, so speaker cannot preside the Lok Sabha, cannot preside. Next, when the removal resolution is under consideration, speaker can participate and speak in all the discussions. He can participate, but he cannot preside. Very important. Next, first instance vote. So very important. So now speaker generally enjoys what? A vote in case of tie. For example, we want to take a particular decision, and let us assume among the 500 members, 250 are in favor of it and 250 members are against it. We cannot take a decision because we require a majority, right? So in this case, what happens? Speaker will cast a vote. It will be called as casting vote, in order to break the tie. But when the speaker's removal resolution is under consideration, speaker cannot make a casting vote, so he can vote in the first instance. Okay, in the first instance itself he can vote. Next, when Lok Sabha is dissolved, so he will not vacate his office. Very important. When Lok Sabha is dissolved, he will not vacate his office. So he will remain in office until the new Lok Sabha meets after the election. Next, role, powers and functions of speaker. So he is head of Lok Sabha. So who is called as head of Lok Sabha? Speaker. He is the Lok Sabha's representative. Next, he is the guardian of power and privileges of all the members of Lok Sabha within Lok Sabha. Next, he is principal spokesperson in Lok Sabha. Next, his decision is final as far as parliamentary matters is concerned. Important. He is the supreme authority within the house, that is within the Lok Sabha. Next, what are the sources of his powers? So sources of his powers are Constitution, rules of procedure, conduct of business of Lok Sabha, and parliamentary conventions. Okay, parliamentary conventions. These are various sources of power to speaker. Next, another important function that he performs is he maintains order and decorum. So you might have seen that in TV and all. So whenever debates are going on, if there is unruly behavior by the members of parliament, then he will try to bring order in the house. So he is the person responsible to maintain order and decorum within the Lok Sabha. Next, final interpreter of the constitution. Very important. So actually the final interpreter of the constitution is Supreme Court of India, but within the house, within Lok Sabha, if there is any question or question related to constitution and if there is some confusion, so who will clarify it? Speaker will clarify it. So he is the final interpreter of the constitution of India within Lok Sabha. Next, rules of procedure. There are various rules of Lok Sabha. So when there is any confusion, whatever the interpretation the speaker will make, that interpretation will be final. Conduct of business of Lok Sabha. So there are some rules with respect to conduct of business of Lok Sabha. So again, the interpretation made by speaker will be final there as well. Parliamentary precedents. Next, he will adjourn when there is no quorum. So what does it mean? So in order to initiate any kind of discussion in the Lok Sabha, we require minimum strength. That is minimum 1/10 members. In a Rajya, in Lok Sabha, it is 545. So 1/10 is somewhere close to 55. So minimum 55 members have to be present in order to initiate any kind of discussion. But if there are less than 55 members, when there is no quorum, then he will adjourn. So adjourn means we will meet after some time. He will adjourn the house. Okay. Next, he has a casting vote as we discussed. So the casting and first instance vote. Only normally he will be having casting vote. But when his removal resolution is under consideration, he will go for what? First instance vote. Next, joint sitting preside. So later on we will be seeing that situations will arise wherein both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha have to sit together to take some kind of decisions. Okay, so those things we will be discussing later on. So that joint sitting provision is there when it comes to a dispute related to ordinary bill. So in such cases, when there is a joint sitting of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, so who will be presiding? It will be speaker. Okay, speaker. Next, secret sitting. So as a leader of the Lok Sabha, he can call for secret sitting. So what is secret sitting? Generally, when any kind of discussions are going on in Lok Sabha, so apart from members of Lok Sabha, some other members will also be participating. For example, it may be ordinary members, next media and all. So secret sitting is where all the other members will be prevented from attending the session. So such a sitting can be called by the leader of the house, that is speaker. So whenever Prime Minister makes such kind of request, so speaker can call a secret sitting. Next, money bill decision. Now later on we'll be discussing the different types of bills: ordinary bill, money bill, constitutional amendment bill, finance bill and all. So among them, money bill is a very important bill. So whatever, which bill should be considered as a money bill? So normally this confusion arises, confusion prevails. In order to overcome this confusion, okay, so who is the final person to make a decision as to whether it is a money bill or not? It is speaker. It is speaker. Next, disqualification with respect to 10th schedule. So we have seen disqualification on various grounds, on grounds of constitution, on grounds of representation of people act, grounds of defection. So whenever there is a ground of disqualification is on the grounds of defection, so who can make the decision? That decision can be made by speaker in case of Lok Sabha. But very important, whatever the decision the speaker makes, it is subject to judicial review. It means the aggrieved person can go to the court. Next, he is the head of inter-parliamentary group of International Parliamentary Union. So when India is being represented here, so he will be its head. He will be the chairman of the conference of presiding officers. So in India, we have many houses. So legislative assemblies of states, legislative councils of states, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. So all the presiding officers together, they will make an annual conference. So who will preside such kind of conference? Speaker will preside it. Next, later on we shall see that there are various committees associated. Okay, for example, business advisory committee, next standing committee, many committees are there, and each and every committee will be having a chairman. Okay, so committee chairman is appointed by speaker, very important. Okay. Committee chairmans are appointed by speaker. So again later on we will be discussing in detail about the various committees, but here we shall understand that committee chairmans are appointed by speaker. Another very important, there are few committees of which by default speaker himself is the chairman. So which are those committees? BAC, Business Advisory Committee. So speaker is automatically the chairman of Business Advisory Committee. Similarly, we have Rules Committee. So speaker is its chairman. General Purpose Committee. So of all these committees, speaker is by default, okay, their chairman. And for other committees, who will appoint the chairman? Speaker will appoint the chairman. Okay. Next. So always the speaker is expected to be independent of the political party. So in order to ensure his independence and impartiality, so there are certain provisions in the constitution. So what are that? Security of tenure. So security of tenure means once he has been appointed, once he has been elected, it's very difficult to remove him, because in order to remove him, we need a resolution. Already we have seen about the resolution. With what kind of majority? Absolute majority. So what is absolute majority? We have made a video on absolute majority. Please refer to that video. You'll get an understanding about what is absolute majority. So in order to remove speaker, we require absolute majority in Lok Sabha. Hence, it is difficult to remove speaker. Hence, this ensures the independence and impartiality of the speaker by upholding his security of tenure. Important. Next, in order to initiate this resolution, 50 members support is required in Lok Sabha. Okay, that is why all these stringent procedures indicate that removal of speaker is not an easy task; it's a challenging task. So all these things ensure that the security of speaker is security of tenure of speaker is ensured, and by this his independence and impartiality is also ensured. Next, who fixes the salary? Salary is fixed by Parliament. Next, very important, his salary is charged. So later on when we start discussing about the budget, we'll come to know that the government's expenditure, there are two parts. One is charged, another one is voted. Charged and voted. So in case of voted, whenever we want to spend money on a particular thing, we need to take the permission of the Lok Sabha. And there are few entities, when we are spending on them, we need not take the permission of Lok Sabha. For example, salary of president, next judges of Supreme Court and High Court, next, not High Court, Supreme Court. Next, similarly, salary of speaker and all. So for giving salary of a speaker, we need not take the Lok Sabha's permission. So that such kind of expenditure we call it as charged expenditure. So even charged expenditure, it ensures the independence and impartiality of the speaker. Suppose if this provision was absent, then speaker would have been at the mercy of the Lok Sabha. Whatever the salary the Lok Sabha will give, he should take it. But now this is not the case. Now he is independent, because whether Lok Sabha permits him or not, he will get a salary, because the salary is charged on the consolidated fund of India. So later on we will discuss what is consolidated fund of India and all. So it is charged. Next, no criticism. So we cannot criticize the decisions of speaker. So if at all we want to criticize, then we can criticize only with the help of substantive motion. So what is motion, what is substantive motion? Again, we'll have a separate video for it. Next, court does not have any kind of jurisdiction with respect to speaker. So whatever the decisions that have been taken by the speaker, so court jurisdiction is limited. Okay, court jurisdiction is limited. Next, impartial. So how do we ensure that the position of speaker is impartial? Because he has a casting vote. He will go for voting only when there is a tie. Only when there is a tie. So if it was a first instance vote, then probably he would have acted in a partial manner. But because of his impartiality, he enjoys only casting vote. Next, we have given different ranks to different constitutional positions. So in India, the highest rank is enjoyed by president and so on. So here, his rank is 7th. So his rank is 7th, equal to that of a Chief Justice of India. So speaker's rank is equal to that of a Chief Justice of India. Higher than all cabinet ministers except Prime Minister. It means his position is less than that of the Prime Minister, but higher than that of all cabinet ministers. So very important. So UPSC generally focuses on such kind of tricky things. So very important. Position lower than that of Prime Minister, but more than that of all the cabinet ministers. Next. So here sometimes questions are also framed like comparison of Indian constitutional schema with that of the others. So here comparison they have mentioned. So Britain speaker resigns from party. So in Britain, when a person is appointed as speaker, so he will resign from the political party from which he had got elected. But in India, this is not the case. So speaker will not resign. Speaker will not resign. So generally again question can be framed on this as well. So in India, when a speaker is elected, he will not resign from the political party on whose ticket he has been elected to Lok Sabha. He has been elected to Lok Sabha. So in this class, we discussed about the speaker and also some of the disqualification grounds or situations when vacation of seats take place in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and next we discussed about the speaker. So similarly, in the subsequent videos, we will be discussing about the other part of the parliament. For all our subsequent videos, subscribe to our channel and hit on the bell icon. Thank you.